Well, good morning. I want to welcome everyone. This is our kickoff event at INCOMPAS, and we're very pleased and very thankful to have Caldera with us and to talk about Corero and to talk about y'all's services as we look at what is one of the most relevant topics today. How do we protect our companies and consumers and customers from the different types of cyber threats and risks that we face today? And so I'd love for y'all to introduce yourselves, introduce Corero, and talk about the services and the mission and the approach that y'all take of providing something that is very critical in today's world.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dana Kaufman with Corero, and we are a DDoS-only company. That's all we do. And I've been with Corero for 4 years. I absolutely love slinging DDoS. But seriously, our customers range from actually many Indetel members, but this is a real problem across all the Indetel members. We do business with people like First Light, Segra, DCN, I mean, just a host of others, but just to name a few.
Good morning, folks. Thanks for coming out so early. I really appreciate it. I know it's early for Ask to come to the first event, but very thankful that you can make it out and hear us talk about DDoS. So my name is Erick Caldera. I've been with Corero for about 3 years. Just a little bit about Corero, actually a little bit about myself first. So former sales engineer, so I do have an engineering background. Routing and switching is where I grew up. I've worked in service provider space and in the enterprise space equally. But now I'm in sales at Corero. And like I said, been here about 3 years. So like Dana said, we are a DDoS specialist. It's the only product we have. It's the only thing we do. And we protect a lot of service providers out there, just like Dana said, right? But just to let you know more about the company, we are headquartered in the UK with engineering out of Edinburgh, Scotland, and US based in Massachusetts, right? That's where our sales and marketing is based out of. Most of our business is in the US based for service providers. And we're here to talk to you about how you can monetize the DDoS solution. So most of you out there in this industry have a solution for protecting your infrastructure. In some cases, you're already leveraging it for monetizing and selling it to downstream. But we're here to talk about it, and if you're not doing it, why you should be doing it.
So Dana, define DDoS.
Okay. I look at a DDoS attack as this. The point of the attack is to stop that victim or the service provider itself from being able to get any traffic anywhere, in or out, right? Just to completely clog that pipe. And if you think about it as I like to reference it like a traffic jam. You get too many cars are going off the ramp at the same time. And let's say you've got all different colored cars, white, yellow, red, right? And all the white cars are the bad ones. They are not supposed to be there. They are illegitimately getting off that exit ramp. They are preventing the yellow and red cars from actually getting off the exit ramp too. So that's what a DDoS attack is. It's sending these illegitimate packets, I described it as a white car, to that victim to block it from ever getting any kind of legitimate traffic. It is our job to figure out which cars are the bad ones and stop those from getting in the way of the good ones.
No, I like that analogy. That's a perfect analogy. Yeah, I would get behind that.
And as an engineer, how do you stop them? How do you sort, filter, keep the good, eliminate the bad?
Yeah, not easy, right? Not easy. So that's the task of our engineering team, is trying to figure out the best ways of doing this, right? And our engineering team has been doing this for many, many years. So Corero has been around for over 10 years in the DDoS space. So there is various techniques that we leverage, right? From IP header information from being able to look at patterns inside the packet and determine whether they are good or bad, including challenges to the stream, right? So, I mean, it's nothing outside of the norm of what most of our competition does in this space. However, we do something a little bit different in that I would say the majority of our competition looks at header information and tuple information in the IP header. What we do differently in Corero is that we look at the whole packet, right? So from analytics and from being able to enforce whether this is a valid packet or not, we're looking at the first 200 bytes of the packet. So it's the header plus about 128 bytes of the payload of the packet. And that allows us to create more surgical-like type filters, use a lot more tuple information in the filter and the automatic filters that go into blocking these malicious packets. So it allows us to be more accurate in that arena. And we'll probably talk about what makes us really great in this area, why providers like us, and it has to do with set it and forget it, right? We do such a good job that a lot of our customers just install it and don't even have to manipulate the system. And what allows that is being able to be this surgical in our blocking mechanisms.
So Dana, if you were to sit with an ISP right now, and you would want to say, this is why you should do this. This is why it benefits you. This is your business case. This is how you can monetize. Not only how do you protect, but how you can also grow your revenues. So what is the case?
Yeah, I think it's crazy that every provider does not try and sell this to their customers. Your customers want it. I mean, they are attacked routinely. Like you see some of these statistics up here. Like you see a 300% increase in carpet bomb attacks. These are the most sophisticated attacks out there. These attackers have gotten meaner, frankly. And they're not even trying, they're so good at this that they're trying to do, you see this, that 98% of attacks are less than 10 gig. I mean, they're really trying to fly under the radar of systems like Corero to evade us and really get to that victim. In terms of your question of why offer it, it's, in some ways it's a philosophical thing. Is it the right thing to scrub your traffic and make sure that your customers always get great service? And when you look at most of your websites, they always say, we're 100% fiber optic, we're the fastest out there. Why would you, with this problem is the opposite of that. It flies right into the face of what you're trying to offer your customer. And on the flip side, and I think Erick's going to get into this, these customers want it, and there's a certain customer that really wants it. And if you're going to win that customer, and this is an enterprise customer, we're not talking about necessarily small business customers, we're talking about the largest customers, your ones that care about speed, who pay for speed. They are your best probably paying customers. And they will pay for this as well. They want to. They want better service.
Yeah, no, I would agree with everything you said, right? I mean, the only thing I would say, to answer your question specifically is why not, right? So why wouldn't you want to turn it into a new stream of revenue? And I say that because, most of you already have a DDoS solution, right? If not, I would say probably the majority of you have a DDoS solution because as a provider, you have to protect your infrastructure. I mean, it's a given, right? If you don't protect your infrastructure, you're going to be in very, very deep trouble. So then, what we say is, well, take that solution and how can you enhance it and create a stream of revenue that can pay for that solution and then create an ROI on your investment, right? So that is the reason why I think this is turning into a solution or a service that most providers are offering today, whether it's as an add-on to an existing IP service to their enterprise customers or embedded in the pricing a lot of times, right? So it's an opt-out type model. So I think that's one of the main reasons why you should consider, getting a DDoS solution as a service.
Did you want to add?
I was just to say, the thought of every network I speak to says, hey, we're trying to raise our per customer revenue. You can't do that by charging more for your DIA because they'll shop around and they'll just say no to you. But add-on services, they don't say no to.
Do you have a case study? So you talked at the very beginning of the conversation about some of your customers, some of the ISPs. Give us a case study, if you don't mind.
I mean,
That's someone that has successfully deployed it, had a great experience, and would be a good model.
So we have, I mean, I can think of one big customer, also in Intel, who they're mostly a business network, I mean, mostly business customers. They were profitable in 9 months. And when I say profitable, I mean millions of dollars a year compared to the cost of the service, which isn't, a tenth of that. So it was nothing for them to roll this out and incorporate it into what they're doing.
Eric, do you have?
Well, yeah, no, it's the same one, and I think the reason that she didn't mention the name is because I can't recall either if it's an anonymous case study.
Me neither.
So I'm going to hold off on naming it, but yeah, I mean, we actually have a lot of customers that have proved this solution to be proved. Actually, some of them are in attendance in this event too, which we're looking forward to meeting some of them. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a specific name to give you. However, we do have case studies that we can make available. They're on our website. We provide all the case studies there. However, the one on the adding the revenue, I think it may be anonymized, so we may not disclose it here. Sorry.
For security
Yeah.
and confidentiality and proprietary and for competition reasons, that's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
So, tell us if you, so you expect a return on investment, or your typical customer, client, company, usually you see a return on investment how far down the road?
Anywhere from like 9 months to maybe a year and a half. It depends on how well they sell it. One of the things that we have to do as a provider is we really train the salespeople, the engineers, explain how to talk about it, who cares about it, how do you bring the topic up, and go from there.
And how would you recommend one of your ISPs that you serve to structure it, to price it?
I mean, the way that most of these companies use it, and frankly, this is how the tier ones do it, they charge 80% of the cost of a DIA circuit. It's that high. And the reason that they can do that, and that we recommend you do that, is because if that, let's just say we're talking about a school system or a hospital system or a government office, utilities, these are some of the biggest buyers of this, financial, manufacturing. If these guys had to go out there and get their own service, meaning put appliances or use a cloud or whatever, do something like that, this would be $7,000 to $8,000 a month. So charging 80% of a DIA circuit is a bargain, and they know that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree, right? I think a good starting point is that, 80% of the monthly recurring that you pay for the IP services. And then, we then have to look at where are you serving your customers, right? I mean, if it's very rural, maybe that doesn't apply. If you don't have, as many enterprises, along your path of where you're laying your fiber or where you're offering your services, then your ROI could be extended beyond the 9 months. But the company that she's referring to, I believe, serves a very populous area and, was able to achieve ROI in about 9 months, right? So, but we see it somewhere in that range between 9 months and a year and a half. I will say that, with Corero, the advantage is that, we're not out there, charging for our products, a great amount. Our bread and butter is tier 2s and tier 3s. We understand that cost, is very impactful to the bottom line. So, that's one of the main reasons that with Corero, you can probably achieve ROI a lot sooner than if you bought, a solution from another manufacturer in the same space. But yeah, I mean, it's just going to vary depending on a lot of factors. But I think 9 months is a good estimate of when you should expect to get an ROI from a solution like this.
And for an ISP, how long would it take for them to be ready to launch and then support? So from both the technical and the human resource side, what do you see and what would you recommend for those ISPs who want to use your service? What do they need to do to be ready?
You want to take this one, or you want me to go first? Yeah, I'll go first on this one. Change the pattern a little bit, right? So, I mean, from the solution, right? Once it's deployed, obviously, I think first is you want to protect yourself, right? You want to protect your infrastructure. You want to protect your own services, that are in-house. And then once you have that in place, well, how do you turn it into a solution that you can resell? You'll need a portal, a multi-tenancy portal. You'll need to be able to create differentiated levels of services to your customers, right? You need to be able to distinguish a home subscriber from a business, from a paying customer or paying business customer and a non-paying business customer, and then how you mitigate the attacks against every single one of them. And then on top of that, like I mentioned, a multi-tenancy portal, you have to let them be able to look at their data in order to validate that what they're paying for is something that is of benefit to them, right? Being able to show the clean data, how many attacks they're getting on a regular basis, and how much traffic you're blocking that otherwise would have impacted their business or their applications or services, right? So from inception to completion, it really depends, right? If you're really aggressive, we've seen this implemented in less than 3 months. There's other customers, the bigger the provider, unfortunately, the more complex the process gets sometimes. And usually it comes through, implementation windows and getting buy-in from everybody and what have you, right? And it could extend things. But realistically, I think in under 3 months, you can probably have, a solution that is stood up, properly configured and ready to be reselling. Now, there's other aspects to it that we help as well with, co-branding. We have an intelligence report that comes out every year. We provide that to you so that you can also show the customer that you are in this space, providing feedback to them, giving them relevant data. So there's a lot of things that we do from the marketing and the business side as well, not just the technology side. But maybe, Dana, you want to speak a little bit?
I think that's a really good point. We really help our customers sell it to their end customers, and that's huge. They're not our customers are not experts in DDoS. They need a lot of help sometimes. So we give them data sheets for their customers, website content. We will do webinars for them. We train all the people. So all of that has to be done to make this happen very quickly.
And y'all, as we were talking before we came up, you have customers in every state now? Or operations and networks?
I feel like we do. I do. I feel like we do.
I'm very glad that you're in Mississippi.
Yeah, I know.
Making us all safe.
We are in Mississippi.
Yeah.
I think
globally we have.
Yeah, globally. What's the customer count worldwide? It's pretty high.
I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember it either, but it's pretty high up there. But in the U.S., right? That's where most of our business, I think, comes from, is the U.S. And just like the population, we're heavy in the East Coast, we're heavy in the West Coast. But like I said earlier, our base customer is tier 2, tier 3. So we're in a lot of rural places. Places where I've had to land, take a commuter plane and then drive 3 hours on top of that just to be able to meet our customers. So yeah, we're everywhere. But yeah.
Your own call, you'll go wherever duty requires.
Exactly. Exactly.
So if a company is trying to make a decision, do we do managed services? Do we outsource? When do you make that call? How do you make that recommendation to your customers?
Yeah, so that's actually an excellent question, right? Because as part of the providing a solution in DDoS, sometimes it does put a stress on your SOC operations or your NOC operations, right? So in that, they have to learn the system to some degree. Now, we do a very good job, like I said earlier, on set it and forget it. And what I mean by that is that if you look at some of the solutions that exist out there, when there is a DDoS attack, there's typically a workflow that has to be followed, meaning there's an attack, and after the attack is detected, you have to send it to a scrubbing lane, and in the scrubbing lane, sometimes you have a lot of false positives, right? It starts impacting the applications more than it starts doing any good for the customer. So then you have to turn knobs, and you have to make sure that there's not too much false positives. That actually puts a heavy stress on your operations. When you look at a solution like ours, one of the things that we do, and we say our philosophy in engineering is actually do no harm. So there's one, built-in benefit is that when you have our solution, with this do no harm, what most of our customers find is that they implement it. We do an excellent job of doing the detection and the mitigation, but because we're using that 200 bytes, it actually makes us very accurate in that I would say 90 to 95% of the attacks, you actually don't need to intervene, right? The box just does it on its own. Less stress on your operations in order to manage these attacks. Having said that, if you're even a smaller operation where you don't even have room to even look at these screens, besides giving you the content, besides giving you all this material, we can actually also offer as a managed service the operations of making sure those attacks are properly mitigated. So we have a SOC operations, which can be an extension of your own operations in order to help make sure that those attacks are always properly mitigated. So that's another add-on option that is available and could help monetize that solution even if you don't have the personnel to be able to look at all these attacks.
Would you like to add anything?
Well, I would say that customers tell me all the time, if they've had somebody else in there, another DDoS provider, and then they go with Corero, they tell me, oh my gosh, life has gotten so much easier for us. We no longer have to do all the work we were doing before in making sure that the right things were blocked or changing customer settings because, all of a sudden we're blocking good customer traffic. None of that happens anymore. They're absolutely thrilled. And that really is the name of the game. You really need to find the right vendor who's going to make it so that you're not changing settings. That is paramount.
Yeah, this morning we're going to be talking about AI. Mm-hmm. We're going to be discussing with private equity that is infusing the investments into new broadband networks and builds. We are in kind of the golden era of the fiber and 5G and new technologies building the new networks for the future, and then the applications. So I actually think this is a good way to start because as you build those networks and you serve, and it's becoming increasingly complex, the applications that the networks enable. But if it's not secure and the sophistication of those who are attacking always increasing, you're kind of the silent partner and the silent security of emerging, adapting, and providing solutions of really a core key service in today's network-based economy where everything is going to be connected.
Yes.
Would you like to make one last case to close of anything that you think is important that we didn't discuss, anything that is important to your customers or to the people that you're going to be meeting here this week?
I would just like to add or repeat just how easy it is to, well, first of all, everybody in this room is trying to beat a tier 1. Is that a correct statement?
Yeah, everyone wants to.
They've got a tier 1 in their backyard.
Everyone wants to grow and compete.
Right, and there's somebody in their backyard that is maybe that has this. I mean, they all have that, the tier 1s. So just from a competitive standpoint, this greatly helps win those bigger customers. Having a service like this, that would be what I'd leave you with.
So competition
and
security.
And security.
Yeah, I mean, I would actually say that's pretty, pretty spot on, right? I mean, I think the purpose of, being able to sell a service is to make you more competitive, right? I think I said it early on, most of your competition is already doing it, and if you're not doing it, then you're probably leaving money on the table. We're here to help, I guess, explore that avenue, see if it's something that you want to do. If you're already doing it, then I would say we probably have a better mousetrap for you, right? And I mean that not to do a complete overhaul, but we actually have cases where we can augment what you have. We can make things better. We can add more capacity. We can do a lot of things to enhance the service in order to be able to turn it into a more cost-effective solution for your downstream customers, right? On the heels of the AI, right? I mean, you and I were talking a little bit earlier. So there is some heuristic built elements into our solution, right? I think it was termed machine learning before. But, our engineering team is always looking at, what's out there, right? So like I mentioned, our engineering team is out of Scotland, and, they're actively looking at all these new possibilities on how we can make our solution better. And AI is actually, something that we continuously look at. It's not in the solution today. I think it's probably too early for us to implement into our solution, but it's something that we're actively looking at, right? So again, all we do is DDoS. So, it's in our own best interest to stay ahead of, all these attacks and making sure that we have the best solution out there because we are a single, sole solution provider. So.
Well, I want to welcome y'all to the INCOMPAS show. I think this is your first INCOMPAS show.
Very first one, yes.
We have around 1,100 attendees, 260 companies. Your service could be a critical factor in their success. And so we appreciate greatly y'all coming, participating, presenting. Then if you want the last word, anything that you'd like to add before we close?
I just want to thank you very much for hosting us. We're really excited to meet everybody, and feel free, honestly, just if you see us walking around, we would love to talk to you, obviously. And thank you all for being here.
Well, I hope y'all have a great show. Welcome, and thanks again for the vital security service that y'all provide.